So as I intend to be fully consistent with my position that those that lie about rape should go to prison, I'm going to talk about a recent case that has come up that hasn't been spoken much about, where a, quotes, fantasist known only as Nick, who claims of VIP child sex abuse sparked Scotland Yard's disastrous £2.5 million inquiry, is charged with 12 counts of perverting the course of justice. Now, I'm not entirely sure why they have decided not to release his full name and put him on blast, but I'm going to be consistent that until a conviction has been obtained, let's just keep the anonymity, shall we? However, I do want to say now that if he does burn, I want him to burn publicly, because that is a lot of money to waste on a fantasy, especially on something that is so serious. So, the man behind Scotland Yard's disastrous £2.5 million VIP child sex abuse inquiry was today charged with 13 criminal offences over his claims of serial murder and rape. The Crown Prosecution Service announced the man only as Nick had been charged with 12 counts of perverting the course of justice and 1 count of fraud. The Met's inquiry into the man's allegations of child rape and murder involving an establishment child sex ring including ex-Prime Minister Edward Heath, former Home Secretary Leon Britton, ex-military chief Lord Bramall and ex-Tory MP Harvey Proctor closed without a single arrest. Lord Britton's widow, Diane, and Lord Bramall have each received £100,000 in out-of-court compensation settlements with the force over its disastrous investigation. Now, the inquiry that they are talking about is known as Operation Midland, which started in November 2014. And I'm going to go through a list for the timeline so you can understand what had happened and how much of a colossal waste of time and resources it truly was. So in November 2014, Scotland Yard announced Operation Midland as a result of claims by Nick of an alleged VIP paedophile ring. Detectives make a dramatic appeal for witnesses to 3 alleged child murders and say Nick gave a credible and true account of being abused for 9 years at the luxury Dolphin Square apartment block in central London. In March 2015, police searched the home in Surrey of Lord Bramall of Bushfield, the Normandy veteran and former chief of the Defence Staff, and his dying wife. Lady Bramall passed away 4 months later. The home of Harvey Proctor, the former Tory MP, is also searched. In April 2015, Lord Bramall is interviewed under caution. In June 2015, Mr. Proctor is interviewed under caution. In August 2015, Mr. Proctor gives an extraordinary press conference in which he reveals he has been accused of murder, child abuse and torture. He vehemently denies wrongdoing and accuses the Met of running a gay witch hunt. In September 2015, Brendan Hogan Howe, now Lord Hogan Howe, head of Scotland Yard, defends Operation Midland but concedes the force was wrong to describe Nick's claims as credible and true. In January 2016, Lord Bramall is told he will face no further action. He tells the Times that the sex abuse slur was almost as bad as D-Day. To have these awful, entirely untrue allegations hanging over one's head, without the police saying there is not a grain of truth in them, is really awful. February 2016, Lord Hogan Howe announces an independent inquiry of Midland by Sir Richard Henriques, a retired court judge. March 2016, Mr. Proctor is told he will face no further action, and Operation Midland is wound up. Now skip ahead to November 2016. Sir Richard's review concludes that Operation Midland was riddled with errors, that a judge was misled to obtain search warrants for suspects, and that the police seemed to set aside the presumption of innocence and traduced the reputations of the accused. It emerges that Northumbria Police has been asked to investigate Nick for allegedly attempting to pervert the course of justice. In September 2017, the Met pay Lord Bramall and Lady Britton compensation. In May 2018, Mr. Proctor lodges a damages claim in the High Court, suing Scotland Yard and Nick for £1 million for loss of income, personal injury and damage to his reputation. The Met has said it will defend the claim. So throughout this entire mess, there was a report done by the House of Commons Library, which I have linked in the description, which is called Operation Midland and the Henriques Report. There are references to sources in this, and one of them will take you to oliez.com, where there is report recommendations, where it talks about, in total the review made 25 recommendations, including removing the word victim from the process. The word complainant is more appropriate. Also an acknowledgement that false complainants are made from time to time. Time will tell whether these recommendations are implemented and whether this post Seville culture will change. What of Harvey Proctor? He now speaks magnanimously, accepting the police's apology, and states his respect for them remains undiminished. His comments hide, however, the inexorable toll this has taken on himself and family. You only need to look at footage of him prior and post the investigation as to the physical and undoubted mental effect this has had upon him. And then it references Nick, and that this investigation, because of the way it was handled, has left those who are the real victims and those who are falsely accused to not get the resolution they so rightly deserve, i.e. justice. Now let's face it, over the last 2.5 years I've even bothered talking about things like this, the Metropolitan Police have shown themselves, and Scotland Yard, have shown themselves to be totally incapable of being able to obtain evidence and give it to the Crown Prosecution Service to the point where they can then sufficiently prosecute someone, to the point where many have not been able to obtain the correct outcome on the grounds that the police or the investigators or the CPS have held onto evidence and deemed it too personal. In this case, the police assumed and believed from the offset. For reasons beyond my understanding, they were totally unable to put on their skepticism tinfoil hats and do what they're supposed to do, and that is investigate a claim. And this one being of such a large magnitude, with that being some of those being former Prime Minister and military chief and Tory MP, it is right to then act properly and not jump to a conclusion that someone was right, and then give that person credibility by very publicly saying that the source is credible. You set yourself up to fail because you believed someone word verbatim, and the report is pretty damning. I will, of course, for those who are interested, link that below. It was quite a nice read for a sedative. Now, there is a reference in the Parliamentary Library report that I earlier mentioned, where it came to debates, and there's almost a Hansard at the bottom that makes up the bulk of this entire thing, where it has Baroness Miller asking the Minister of State at the time, to Her Majesty's Government, what urgent steps will they take to restore confidence in the Metropolitan Police following the conclusions of Sir Richard Henrique's report into Operation Midland? The reply is, My Lords, allegations of sexual offences are among the most serious to be investigated by the police. The police have a responsibility to investigate such allegations thoroughly, sensitively and with rigour, so that the facts can be established. Sir Bernard Hogan Howe was right to ask Sir Richard Henriques to carry out this independent report, and it is now for the Metropolitan Police to address the findings and take action where necessary. One of the shortcomings of this entire incident was that the operation fell short on what is more commonly considered natural justice, because they went on an assumption, because they went in on very small evidence, and it wasn't enough. Another thing to consider is that some of the people dragged into this died before their names were cleared. Those who are accused, and this is actually a damning statement of it, for example with Proctor, those who are falsely accused do suffer. The damage it does to you, especially when it is so public, when it should not be, is staggering, and it is a shame that some have died without obtaining the innocence they totally rightfully deserved, along with a very lengthy apology. I'm not sure how you quantify compensation, by the way. I'm not sure how you can actually do it. I'm sure there's a calculator though. Now, this all aside, today should be PMQs, hopefully. If it is on, I will be responding to it as a stream on my second channel, the Cthulhu-Kin and Friend Show, link below on my second channel. I'm also thinking about responding to some comments I left on a Paul Joseph Watson video, where I actually said as a joke, phrase it, make England great again, and you can sell mega hats, because that's a far better play on words than MBGA. I'm well aware that the United Kingdom is Britain. Thank you to VTS-NL for being such a fucking spastic, and to any other dribbling spastic in that chat thread that felt the need to correct me when I was just being funny. You fucking idiots. Perhaps I'll address it actually on Friday as a proper shitpost and go through all the comment. If not, this will count. Surely. You absolute fucking idiots. Although I will say, Enya Sene, who got the gist that it was entirely marketing based, thank you. You have restored some of my faith in the lowly plebs of the internet. I hope everyone has a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
In your ass.
Imagine my shock.